Something happened in the NBA on Tuesday, or excuse me,
Wait,
yesterday.
before you get into this, think about all the bombs that have dropped during this NBA season. First, we have the Luka Doncic trade. Then we have the Memphis Grizzlies firing Taylor Jenkins. And now this happens on Tuesday. Have you ever seen an NBA news cycle, I guess, like this at all? Have
Uh,
you?
this is the problem with today's NBA. We care more about this stuff than we do about the on-court stuff. That would be my response to that.
Okay.
People will talk about this. People have talked about the Luka trade for 2 straight months. As long as the Denver Nuggets are in the playoffs, they will talk about the fact that they no longer have a current head coach and a current general manager. More so than they will talk about how the Denver Nuggets do on the basketball court that night. Every Nuggets game this postseason, this will be brought up more than one time. I can almost guarantee you it.
So I'm looking at the standings right now as of 6:03 on Thursday, April 10th, with just 3 games left in the regular season. And Denver right now sits in 4th place in the West. So if the season ended today, which I understand it doesn't, but if it did, they would be playing the LA Clippers in the first round, which they could maybe win that series because it's the playoffs. Kawhi could run into the corner of his kitchen countertop and oh no, I broke a toe. I'm out for all the playoffs. I do not trust Kawhi Leonard to stay healthy come playoff time. I don't. But anyway, getting to the main topic of this discussion, I know I just went off on a major rant there, though I think everything I said is valid, but nonetheless, you this feels like something anti-Kroenke. As much as I hate Stan Kroenke because of the way he screwed over the city of St. Louis with the Rams, but from what I understand, the Kroenkes, whether it's with Arsenal, the LA Rams, Colorado Avalanche, and or the Denver Nuggets, they don't really have a tendency to fire their head coaches in the middle of in the middle or towards the end, in this case, of the season.
This would be like if the Rams clinched the NFC West, but they have like a 9-7 record going into the last week of the season. They decided to fire Sean McVay.
Yes.
I mean, that's what kind of this was like. Now, from all the reporting and everything that's been talked about and written about and tea leaves about, if you will, it sounds like Michael Malone and Calvin Bootg were going behind each other's backs to the owner, and the owner just said, you know what? I don't even care if we win the championship this year. This is so toxic. This is so discordful. And we do have the best player in the world that we do have a chance to win a championship. But if we do win the championship, we got to fire these guys anyway. So we might as well just do it now.
My guess is, not to interrupt you, but to actually piggyback off what you were just saying, my guess is if Denver were to make a deep run with Michael Malone still as the head coach, it would have put them in a tough spot. Because from what I heard, they wanted to let Michael Malone go in
2 years ago when they won the championship that year. If they didn't win the championship that year, he was fired.
Yes.
And there are reports out there that, Michael Malone can be very hard on players. We see that. There's video surfacing around the interwebs of him taking shots at some of the lesser players who obviously don't watch film. And Maybe some of that has to do with Russell Westbrook, who I said going into this offseason was the worst signing this team could have ever made in the history of NBA players, because this is what Russell Westbrook does. He gets your coach fired, because ever since he screwed up the game against the Timberwolves last week. Outside of last night, the Denver Nuggets cannot recover, and that's one of the reasons why Michael Malone and Calvin Bootg no longer have a job.
By the way, that was one of the best games I have ever seen between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves.
Well, remember last year, Game 7 broke my heart. The Western Conference semi when Naz Reid went out of nowhere and went completely nuclear, and I had to file a missing Porter report because Michael Porter completely disappeared in that game, along with the likes of Aaron Gordon and others.
But I think that's part of the reason also why Michael Malone and Calvin Bootg both got fired. Not because of that Game 7 specifically. It's because what I'm more alluding to is their philosophies. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's Calvin Bootg that wants to play some of the younger guys that they've drafted.
That's what I've heard as well.
And,
but also,
whereas on the flip side, Michael Malone wants to stick with the veteran group.
But also, Booth was the one who, after they won the championship, they basically did a Colorado Rockies thing and cut payroll. I mean, they let almost every role player that wasn't under contract outside of Porter go, and they gave Michael Porter, who had a great playoff run that year, but up until that point had an injury history that we all know of. They gave him basically a max contract, and now it's a terrible contract.
Yeah. They let Bruce Brown go, who was an integral piece for that.
They let Brown go. They let Jeff Green go. They let KCP go.
He's been a fantastic addition for the Orlando Magic.
Well, has he? I mean, the Magic stink. They stink.
That's because of injuries.
Well, it is, but they haven't been a great team all year long, and KCP's been okay for them. Not great, I would argue.
Anyway, but you got to wonder how much Nikola Jokic factored into this.
Well, not at all. He even said last night of the game, he said this was not a discussion. I forget the words he said. It was a decision, I think is what he said, not a discussion, where they told him, yeah, we're firing the GM, we're firing the coach. Because we know with these international players, Giannis has sort of done the same thing in Milwaukee. Remember, he stuck up for Coach Bud there before they let him go. These international players, for whatever reason, they're sort of taught like the coach is the king of the castle. You don't stoop down to the coach. You listen to the coach and all of these things. Listen, Jokic is, in my opinion, right now the undisputed best player in basketball. He's scoring 60 points a game and they're losing. I don't get it. But at the same time, it's like Denver, Jamal Murray is in and out with his health. But if he's healthy, he's proven to be one of the best playoff players in the NBA the past few seasons. Nobody can guard Jokic. So,
yeah, but Jokic, if you go back and watch that Indiana game the other night in Denver, Jokic on the one play just left a shooter wide open in the corner. He didn't even try to guard him. And the Pacers player knocked it down for three. There was another play where Miles Turner, who's shown that he's a very capable three-point shooter for a big man, he's got all this room or all the space. It's like when I described, the lack of pass rush from the Browns against Ben Roethlisberger in Cleveland, where, he could just stand back there, do his laundry.
Jokic is not the best three-point defender. We all know that. Part of that is because of his speed. Could you imagine if Jokic had any more speed? But
I'm talking about the overall team defense, though. There were plays where Miles Turner was left wide open. Shooters were left wide open for three-pointers and easy layups. And it almost felt like, and I know this was in the reports too, that the Nuggets are just, nah, we don't care.
And the weird thing is, like you said, It depends on who they face, and we're not going to know who they face till about 6 o'clock on Sunday night. It's too hard to predict right now because everybody in the West is within a half game of each other.
The
So
only thing we know for sure
is Houston's the 2 seed, and
yes.
it does look like with the Lakers being up a game, I think it's a safe bet that they're probably going to be the 3 seed. I would imagine.
Yeah.
So
But
I
I will still say this, even though Houston has locked up that 2 seed, I would still say that final game of the season against Denver on Sunday is important for the Rockets because there's a situation or situation, whatever word you want to use, where those two teams could end up playing each other in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how Houston feels, and it depends on the scenario. I remember the Cavs last year picked the Orlando Magic basically to be their opponent. And what did I say at that time? This time last year, I said if you pick your opponent, it's always karma. Never pick your opponent. Just go about your business. Rest your guys. If you face an opponent that's a bad matchup for you, so what? Because what happens if you go, oh, it's more than likely that we could beat this team? That team that you picked knows about it and they play extra hard. That it always happens.
Yeah. And we ended up going to a game 7 against Orlando.
Exactly. So if I had to give advice to Ime Udoka crew, it's rest all your players and let the cards fall where they fall. Listen, if Denver plays the Clippers, I would favor Denver. Listen, you talked about the Kawhi Leonard situation. I don't trust it either. The Clippers are hot right now. I just think in a 7-game series, Denver has probably 2 out of the 3 best players on the court. As much as I like Golden State, I don't think they have a Jokic answer. I think they would almost have to just outshoot Denver because they literally cannot guard Jokic. I think Memphis they could beat because I don't think Memphis is an all-around great team, and who knows what the John Morant antics are. So I'm looking at this thing going, Denver to me, they're probably going to match up in the second round against Oklahoma City, and then it's going to be a battle of probably the 2 best players in the West in SGA and Jokic.
Yeah. I would give Oklahoma City the slight edge, though I know Denver has more playoff experience. But
boy, that would be a really good series.
Yeah.
That's going 6 or 7. So I think we both agree, like, as much as this seems weird for Denver, and it's like, what the hell is going on? There is a world out there that the Denver Nuggets not only make the Western Conference Finals, they could get to the NBA Finals and maybe even win the championship. There's also a world where they get first rounded in 5 games.
Yeah. It all depends. The West is going to so heavily depend not just on the star players, but the matchups. Not so much in the East, but in the West, it's like, who do you play and when do you play them? Because if you're somebody like the Lakers, for example, do you want to play Oklahoma? I know they're most likely going to end up in the 3 seed, but just go along with me. If you're the Lakers, would you rather play Oklahoma City in the second round or in the Western Conference Finals? Like,
I will answer that right after we get to this because last night was a scene, if you will, in Dallas. So Luka's bawling his eyes out before the game. Luka's going crazy, puts up 31 points in the first half. Dallas fans are wearing Luka Doncic Laker jerseys. They're chanting "Fire Nico." LeBron is leading a Luka chant from the bench. And all of a sudden, this Los Angeles Laker team, when that team is on and when they play good defense, which I admit to you is not every night and it's definitely matchup dependent, but when LeBron is playing at LeBron Apex, which is still top-ish, best offensive basketball player in the game right now, Luka doing his Luka thing, you get Austin Reeves going nuclear. Even if they play adequate defense, I don't care if they don't have a center. It's almost too hard to stop.
Yeah. And I mean, they had a center for about 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And then wasn't it the
Yeah, he failed his physical
yeah
with
Mark
the
Williams?
Lakers, Mark Williams. So
Yeah,
listen, last night was insane. I don't know. I give credit to Nico Harrison in this regard that he was actually in the arena last night. Because if I
yeah.
was Nico Harrison, I would have been at my home with security guarding my house. So I give him credit for being in the building and just taking it like a man, if you will. Um, but to answer your previous question that we just talked about, if I'm the Lakers, I think I want Oklahoma City. If I had a choice to play Oklahoma City in the Western Conference Finals, because I don't want to see Denver. As much as Denver's going through a circus right now, I don't want to see Nikola Jokic in that team because I couldn't beat him the last couple of years. And to me, the more likelihood right now is Denver plays Oklahoma City in the second round as opposed to Denver playing the Lakers. So if I'm the Lakers, if Denver plays Oklahoma City in the semifinals, I'd rather have Oklahoma City and take my chance that they're a very young team and LeBron and Luka can outduel SGA and their crew. That's how I'd answer it.
Okay, and I understand that. Um, yeah, it was crazy last night. The whole arena was in covered in T-shirts with which I think were in Luca's native language. I don't.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Um, and I've never seen a player get that emotional during a return.
Before the game. Usually they do it, like at the stoppage of the first quarter, or, the first break or whatever have you. This was before the game, right
Yeah.
before tip.
You know what's crazy though is like the chants, the chants, cheers, support for Luca were louder than what the home crowd gave to the Mavericks. Think about that.
I've,
A,
I've
a,
never seen anything like it.
a visiting player got more support from the home fans than the home team. Like, when do you see that? Almost never.
Well, let me say something that I have not heard anybody in the sports media world bring up today, but I'm going to bring it up right here, right now. If this scenario happened even 10 years ago, let's say 10 years ago, or this is a great example. Let's say in 2007, Kobe Bryant, who had asked out of LA, and the Lakers obviously said, no, we're not trading you. We're going to get Pau Gasol and we're going to go win 2 more championships. But let's say the Lakers end up trading Kobe to Chicago or wherever he would have gone at that point. If he comes back, I don't know if even he gets cheered as much in Los Angeles because there is a big difference in today's society of that, especially in the NBA, because the NBA is the league of stars, right? SGA, Jokic, LeBron, Steph, Durant, Giannis, name them. That there are a lot of fans that, because of social media and because of our short attention spans and all that, they are more fans of players than they are teams.
So I agree with you on that. But I think also part of it is Luka was drafted by the Dallas Mavericks.
Yes, he was.
And he spent his entire career until he was traded to the Lakers.
And he also did not want out, which is the biggest difference here is he never went and requested a trade. He never bitched publicly to the media. He was going to do a Dirk Nowitzki and stay in Dallas in 20 years. And if he won a championship, great. If he didn't, great. That's kind of how I think, even though there's a lot of speculation about if Nikola Jokic wants out. That's kind of the vibe I get about Jokic in Denver.
Yeah. Which, by the way, it'll be interesting since Carmelo is going to the Hall of Fame. Will the Nuggets retire 2 jerseys with the number 15 on it? Because
that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
That's the number Melo wore if he was with Denver. And obviously, we know what Jokic is doing. So it'll be interesting to see how the Nuggets handle that. But I think that's the overall, I think that's the key difference between what Luka got last night and what Kobe might have gotten in the situation you're talking about. Because he wasn't drafted by the Lakers. He
Well,
was,
technically, he was. He was traded on draft night, but that's like saying Luka wasn't drafted by the Mavericks because he was technically drafted by the Hawks and then traded to Dallas.
yeah, that part is true. But like, yeah, I do see what you're saying actually.
It's the
Maybe
same thing. Kobe never, he was traded on draft night. So was Luka technically.
that's a good point actually. And it's weird with the NBA draft because unlike in the NFL where trades are just done, like the NBA trades have to be processed and then they're announced later in the night.
It's stupid. I don't understand it, but nonetheless, the biggest difference in this scenario, like you said, Luka did not want to leave LA.
You
And
mean
listen,
Dallas?
Dallas. The funny thing is, I heard our old friend Kevin Wilds today on First Things First. I thought said the funniest thing I ever heard of my life.
Oh, I boycotted that show, by the way.
Really?
Yes.
Over the Chris Broussard incident last year that we talked about, or something else?
Yeah, I've tried giving it multiple chances, and I'm just like, nah, I can't do this.
Anyway, Mr. Wild said if he was the new Mavericks general manager, his first move would be in the interview telling the owner, "Hey, can we spend $1 billion to get Luka back?"
The only way I think the Mavericks can make this right, call the Phoenix Suns and say, what do you want for Kevin Durant?
No, even that won't make it right. You know what will make it right? There's only one way: win the title. And Kyrie Irving is hurt, and he's going to be out almost all of next year. And Anthony Davis, he's been healthy the last couple of years, but he's mostly been a sack of brittle bones his entire career. There is no way they will win a championship before Luka does in LA.
Yeah. You saying that reminds me of when LeBron left to go to Miami and the Cavs.
I mean, it's very similar. If LeBron got traded from Cleveland to Miami, it'd be the same situation. Which, I mean, I guess technically he did because it was a sign-and trade, but we all know, obviously, he wasn't. But people forget about that was a sign-and trade.
Yes. But what I'm saying is, I don't remember if it was the Cavs owner, Dan Gilbert.
It was. He wrote a letter.
You know it. Okay, so you know what saying, well,
of course I remember. It was the night / the day after the trade where he said, LeBron will never win a title in Miami. We're going to win a title. And then the Cavs only become the worst team in the NBA for the next 4 years. But nonetheless,